Hello, welcome to Vienna, Austria on this lovely spring afternoon. Behind me I've got the Alps and the city of Vienna, so enjoy the backdrop a little bit while we go over this little passage from John chapter 13 as part of this Lent series. So this is at the Last Supper. Jesus and the disciples have just eaten the bread and the wine, and Jesus has just sent Judas out of the room to go meet with the religious authorities to arrange the arrest and all of this. And Jesus is speaking with his disciples. He does this for several chapters. And how he starts off speaking to the disciples here is first by talking about his death and the purpose of that, and then by giving them a new commandment. So starting in John 13, verse 31, when he had gone out, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and glorify him at once. Little children, yet a little while I am with you. You will seek me, and just as I said to the Jews, so now I also say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." So notice these two things here. Jesus says something about himself and something about what his death will do. It will glorify God. And that is something only for him. This is not something for his disciples to follow him into, at least not at this point. Then he gives his disciples a new commandment. He says, so I am going away, I'm dying. And to the disciples he says, love one another as I have loved you. But then Peter, as always, has to butt in and mess things up. In verse 36, Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, where are you going?" Jesus answered him, "Where I am going, you cannot follow me now, but you will follow afterward." Peter said to him, "Lord, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for you." Jesus answered, "Will you lay down your life for me? Truly, truly, I say to you, the rooster will not crow till you have denied me 3 times. So this is interesting. We see Jesus talking about himself, his impending crucifixion and death, and then talking about the disciples, telling them, and here's what you are to do. As I go to die, you are to love one another, and you're to follow me, and you're to show the world my love. But look at how Peter responds. He says, no, rather than follow your commandment that you've just given me, rather than stay here and love your followers who are along with me, I want to go with you, Jesus. I want some of this glory that you're going to on the cross. This is interesting because it kind of reflects some attitudes that we see today, right? Do people focus more on whether they can share in God's glory by serving the church, by talking about the end times, by looking forward to what is to come and to what it means for them as part of God's church? Or do they focus on following the commandments that Jesus has set for them in the present day? Are we more future-minded, or are our minds turned on the commandments that God has given us to follow in the present day? So I hope that we can let this reality check that Jesus gave Peter be a bit of a reality check for us as well, to refocus and see, are we focusing on what we need to be focusing on? Are we loving our neighbor as ourselves? Are we loving each other as Jesus loved us? Are we showing the world who we are by our love and not just by our words and not just by what we preach?